stepping out.
In the early hours of Sunday morning, after a triumphant parade in Omaha, the city's champion suddenly faced the glare of police flashlights and the barrel of drawn weapons. At around 1:30, Terence Crawford stepped out of his car with both hands raised. His voice was steady as he declared, "I am not reaching for a gun." That single moment turned celebration into confusion. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe so you never miss updates on this unfolding story.
Crazy.
Only hours earlier, Omaha had honored Terence Crawford with music, cheering streets, and the pride of a community. He had returned home after conquering one of the sport's most celebrated fighters, and his victory coincided with his 38th birthday. For residents, it was a day meant to showcase a man who had risen from their neighborhoods to become one of boxing's greats. The air carried more than applause. It carried a sense of history, the feeling that a hometown hero had secured a lasting place in the sport. That joy set the stage for what happened later, when a routine drive after the festivities collided with flashing sirens and suspicion, transforming triumph into a night under scrutiny. According to police records, the traffic stop occurred shortly after 1:30 in the morning in the center of Omaha. Officers stated that they observed reckless driving and pulled over the vehicle carrying Crawford and 3 others. What began as an ordinary traffic encounter escalated within seconds. An officer reported spotting a firearm on the floor near the driver's seat, a discovery that triggered immediate orders for everyone to exit the vehicle at gunpoint. Crawford was instructed to step out first. Witness video shows him complying, his hands held high as officers maintained their weapons drawn. The atmosphere, described by many as tense and bewildering, unfolded against the backdrop of a city that only hours earlier had celebrated him as its proud champion. Once the group was outside, officers placed them in temporary restraints while searching the car. Police later confirmed that the individuals, including Crawford, were legally permitted to carry firearms. No arrests were made. Instead, Crawford received a citation for reckless driving, a violation under traffic law, rather than a criminal charge. The stop concluded at the roadside, but its impact reverberated far beyond that street corner, casting a shadow over a day that had been planned to honor one of boxing's all-time greats. As the car doors opened, the night turned into a stage where every movement carried consequence. Crawford emerged slowly, his frame outlined by the flashing lights. Both hands were raised above his shoulders. His voice cut through the tension, measured but unyielding. "I am not reaching for a gun." The words were not shouted. They were delivered with clarity, as if to remind the officers in the world that he posed no threat. A moment later, he asked with restrained calm, "Can I move my phone?" Even that simple request underscored the gravity of the moment. The man celebrated hours earlier as a champion now stood frozen under suspicion, using words as his only shield. For those watching, the contrast was stark. The pride of Omaha reduced to pleading for recognition of his cooperation. His language carried no anger, only insistence that he be seen for what he was doing, keeping his hands high, following every order, showing the discipline of someone who knew how quickly silence could be mistaken for defiance. In the hours that followed, reporters sought comment. None came. Crawford offered no extended statement to the press. His public words appeared instead in a place far removed from flashing lights and legal codes. On his social media, he marked his 38th birthday with a simple message. They call this age-old, yet he declared he was aging like fine wine. The caption turned attention back to his career, not the confrontation. That silence carried weight. To many observers, the absence of an official press response suggested a deliberate pause. Crawford chose not to speak in length about the stop, leaving only the recorded clips from the roadside as his immediate testimony. The contrast between his birthday celebration and the night's turmoil deepened the mystery of how a parade in his honor ended beneath the shadows of police authority. Among those inside the vehicle was Qasim Shabazz, Crawford's head of security. His recollection painted the night as something more than a traffic stop. He described it as a nightmare, a scene where compliance did not soften the approach of drawn weapons. Shabazz recalled officers arriving on both sides of the car, commands overlapping, and tension rising with each second. According to his account, he had already told the officers that he carried a firearm legally under Nebraska law. Crawford, too, he said, declared possession. What followed, in Shabaz's view, was escalation without reason. The order to raise hands was barked with urgency, and the champion's calm acknowledgement was met with weapons held firm. He insisted that Crawford had not reached for paperwork, that the driver's documents were left at home, making the suspicion unfounded. His words echoed with frustration. He claimed that for a moment everyone inside believed they might not survive. The detail was chilling because it came not from strangers, but from those closest to Crawford, men accustomed to security protocols who nonetheless felt powerless. Shabaz's testimony did not replace official records, but it offered a window into the fear that seized even the most prepared when celebration ended with cold steel pointed in their direction. When the news of the stop spread, city officials could not remain silent. The mayor of Omaha, John Ewing Jr., spoke with visible disappointment. He called it unacceptable that a day meant to honor a world champion ended in such a manner. His words carried both civic pride and civic shame, acknowledging the embarrassment for a city that had just given Crawford its highest honors. At the same time, Police Chief Todd Schmaderer confirmed that an internal affairs investigation had begun. He stressed the need for transparency and for answers that could restore public trust. To many in Omaha, it was a jarring contradiction. Hours earlier, the same officials had handed Crawford the symbolic key to the city. Now those same voices promised to examine how officers had handled him at gunpoint. The contrast was sharp, and it revealed how quickly triumph can give way to scrutiny when authority and public icons collide. Footage from the roadside quickly spread online. The images were stark: flashing lights, raised hands, voices urging compliance. These short clips became the central evidence for the public. But they were only fragments. Calls mounted for the release of complete body camera recordings, the official lens that could either confirm or challenge each account. For now, those images remain unreleased. Investigators have promised to review every detail before publishing their findings. The absence of that footage has left the story hovering in uncertainty. Supporters of Crawford argue that the clips already show a champion calmly following orders, while police officials insist that context is missing. Each side waits for the complete record, but in the meantime, the fragments play in loops across news broadcasts and social media, symbols of a night that began as routine and ended as national conversation. Certain details are no longer in dispute. Crawford was stopped in Omaha in the early morning hours. Officers pointed their weapons. He and the other passengers were briefly restrained. A citation for reckless driving was issued, and no one was arrested. It has also been confirmed that firearms found in the car were lawfully carried. Most striking of all, Crawford's own words from the video are clear. He declared that he was not reaching for a gun, and he asked permission before moving his phone. Yet the heart of the matter remains unsettled. Was the decision to draw weapons justified by what officers perceived? Or was it an overreaction to a situation that could have been handled with less force? Did Crawford's calm compliance receive proper recognition? Or did suspicion outweigh reality? These questions have fueled debate far beyond Nebraska. The answers rest with the body camera recordings and the internal affairs review, neither of which has yet been completed. Until those findings emerge, the incident sits in a limbo of partial truths, forcing the public to weigh fragmentary evidence against the reputation of a man regarded as one of boxing's all-time greats. The story did not remain confined to Omaha. Within hours, national outlets carried the footage, and headlines linked the name of a celebrated fighter to a tense traffic stop. Commentators on sports channels debated the balance between public safety and overreach. Local voices expressed disbelief that the same man honored in daylight was treated with suspicion by nightfall. On social media, clips circulated relentlessly. Supporters of Crawford pointed to his calm words and steady hands as evidence of compliance. Others argued that officers were trained to react quickly when they believed a firearm was present. The debate grew beyond boxing or law enforcement. It became a measure of how fame, race, and authority intersect in the United States. The media's constant replay of raised hands and cautious words ensured that the night's images would linger, shaping opinion long before any official report could. Understanding the difference between a citation and an arrest is crucial. A citation for reckless driving is a traffic violation, not a criminal charge. It requires a response in court or payment of a fine, but it does not carry the same weight as a criminal indictment. Crawford was never booked into jail, and the stop concluded at the roadside. The internal affairs investigation is separate. It is a formal review within the police department designed to examine whether procedures were followed correctly. Such inquiries can result in recommendations for training or disciplinary measures, though they do not automatically imply wrongdoing. This framework underscores why the incident has drawn so much attention. A champion who had just unified titles was not facing trial, yet the officers who confronted him were themselves placed under scrutiny. In the hours after the stop, high-profile voices focused on support rather than speculation. Earlier that day, Eminem had recorded a message of congratulations for Crawford at the Omaha celebration, a reminder of how widely his win had resonated across culture. Claressa Shields and Shakur Stevenson appeared at the parade to salute him, reflecting the respect he commands among elite athletes. After the incident, coverage from national and local outlets repeated a common theme. People wanted answers, and they wanted them delivered with clarity. City leaders promised transparency. The sports world kept its focus on Crawford's conduct in the video, noting his raised hands and calm words. As for family, there has been no on-record statement from his mother regarding the traffic stop. Her voice is part of the story of his life, but on this night the public record remains silent. Until officials release the complete body camera footage and the internal review is finished. Most public figures have limited their comments to praise for Crawford's career and calls for a fair and thorough process. A day of pride closed with a few steady words and raised hand. From here, everything awaits the body camera record and the findings of the internal review. The results of the investigation will matter not only to him, but to an entire city wrestling with questions of trust. To follow every development in this story, subscribe to receive the latest updates when the final answers are released.